Our next keynote speaker is hailing from the Nanyang Technological University of Singapore. With over 20 years of experience in high-performance systems and cybersecurity, Professor Srikanthan has made impactful contributions at NTU, founding the Center for High-Performance Embedded Systems and later leading the Cybersecurity Research Center in partnership with Interpol. His research, spanning 490 plus publications and innovations in sectors like public transport and medical device security, has earned him the Singapore government's Public Administration Medal. Please join me in warmly welcoming Professor Thambipillai Srikanthan to the stage.
Good afternoon to you all. I've been waiting for this since this morning and choose a time in which you are all very tired and weak and not wanting to listen. This is the easiest thing for a presenter, right? So that's the game. And I also drank a black coffee just to keep me awake. I only had about 2.5 hours of sleep, having arrived early this morning. And anyway, just try and, the other trick a presenter does when he doesn't want to cover anything is to cover too many slides. I have too many slides too, all right? So let's see how it goes. I'm going to take a slightly different stance, maybe because I can call myself respectfully senior or been in the game for quite some time. I've seen many things. I've been Dean of Computer Science and Engineering School at the Nanyang Technological University for 6 years, completely revamped the computer science curriculum, and it's going very well, and we are 6th best school in the world. And then I was dragged into the president's office to lead the Cybersecurity Research Center at the university level. So there are some experiences of traveling to Israel very often, dealing with eminent professors at Technion, Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion. They are still good friends and cutting-edge research, especially in cybersecurity. I've collaborated with them, have done quite a bit of number of research programs. So thoughts from there. And then I have also worked with the government agencies in Singapore. So it's a kind of a mixed flavor of things, help me think at a higher level. So I will be painting a broad brush. Quite a lot of this will be reasonably obvious, but I will drive home opportunities for disruptive innovation. And also I will drive home my personal experiences in a couple of startup companies, one in mobility intelligence, the other one is in cybersecurity. And I'm about to start a third one. And the first keynote speaker, Dr. Nabil, said, why do you do this? I still haven't found the answer. It's not money. I think we want to try and solve difficult problems. I think the most difficult thing to do is to start up a company and succeed. All right, so I will have a blend of experiences there, and I will put this broad brush and hope I can kind of ignite some interest that there is a lot more there, and it's not people with abundant R&D budget who can succeed. I think we all can do that, right? So that's where we go. Now, I was fortunate enough to listen to Dr. Nabil this morning, and so security for AI was one of the subtopics, and I decided to change it at the last minute. I said, he's covered enough from that. There is no need for me to do that, but I haven't removed the slides, but I will just pass it. A section I removed, knowing that talk is going to be too long, is on intrusion detection. So I thought I'll bring that in and give you a slightly complimentary flavor to that. Okay, so this is how the talk is going to go. I'm going to paint what the ecosystem is trying to tell us. I will also paint what Singapore is trying to do in being one of the highly connected ecosystem trying to pave towards this smart city agenda, working very closely with the government agencies. What are they thinking and where are we going with that? What seems to be the items that are concerning them? It's not the researchers coming up with innovations, but are they going to see a sustainable city as a result of these disruptive innovations, right? So we will be covering that too. And just bear with me, and I don't know where I'm going, but I think we will see. All right, so just a quick background. I'm primarily from the embedded computing systems, computer vision, and so on. And embedded computing systems is my bread and butter background. My startup in 2016 in software vulnerability analysis and hardware security got me to be a little bit more acquainted with cybersecurity. I will share with you what we are doing. And incidentally, in case it slips my mind, one of my grad students right now in California, when I interacted with Dr. Nabil, he was also from California, and then only to share with him our sense of pride, his idea coming out of our startup, and he broke away, and I'm still part of the journey. He was selected by YC Combinator. I don't know if you heard of this eminent investment group betting on credible topics. He's in California being prepped up for the next round of investment. He was given $500,000 USD check just on one idea that he is going to go. So in case it slips my mind, I'm just trying to motivate you all to know that these disruptive outcomes are very possible, right? So right now that is happening. And so that's based on the startup. I've been an academic, not by choice, but then I have to make a living. So I've trained about 50 graduate students, PhDs and masters by research, not by coursework, and ended up publishing 400, I think that's close to about 500 papers now, but whatever it is. And you can see below, I've been very fortunate because it happened to be all in Singapore. Those are just the 3 recent relevant ones I put up. More than $20 million of hard cash given to me to do whatever I like, okay? Well, if you claim to wanting to do credible research, but at the end of the day, you do whatever you want, right? So you can see that, sizable grants and opportunities. So we were blessed to be able to try a few things, sizable activities and so on. All right, so a little bit of a startups, and those are the names. I don't want to go into the details. And then you can see, I was also lucky to try and get a couple of medals from the government of Singapore, which I think is very nice for the public administration. This is my contribution to academia. Okay, so where am I from? I am from a College of Computing and Data Science. It's a recent name. It was from Computer Science and Engineering. By the way, I'm Sri Lankan by birth. I've left the country very early. Accidentally somehow ended up where I am right now. Okay, so over here, you can see the growth of the school and the college. And there's nothing, I needed to say that because they are paying me for my travel. The future begins here, they say, and we do broad spectrum of applied computer science, all the way from custom computing on the right-hand side and all the way to AI and data science. We are ranked number 2 in the world in data science. And 3 of the faculty I've hired during my deanship are marked as among the top 10 scientists in the world right now, and so on. So we do quite a lot. And it's a big school. So when I said I was heading a particular school, I had to deal with about close to 3,000 students, all right? And that many more faculty. And one of the important things I like to watch is the top right-hand corner. You see, the difference is that we are inundated with research funds. Right now, faculty, there are about 100 of them. They are holding 300 million Singapore dollars of R&D money. That's being quite nice, $3 million on average per faculty. This is never heard of. Well, I have a little bit more of that share, but on average, we are talking about 3. Okay, so this is the backdrop. And then let's go into the digital transformation. I think this is a slide I stole from the web. And basically, you can see the connectedness and all that is unstoppable. We are now looking at something like, in 2021, mobile phone users and total population and internet users. And 2024, you can see it's only growing, right? It's keep going up. So what is happening in it is that we are becoming more and more connected, and that is inevitable. And can anybody stop it, put a brakes to it? No. All right, it's going to happen. All right, it's happening right now. And the other thing that you need to also understand is, yeah, we got this kind of a connectivity going. Is it getting saturated? The answer is no. We have the 5G now, talking about real-time connectivity of IoTs and whatever. And they say, look, it's up to your imagination to disrupt and innovate, right? It's all there. By the way, computing is at the cheapest, right now. Computing cost is so cheap. This is why AI, although data science got invented, tens and tens of years ago, now suddenly resurrected to become the fame. It's because the computing cost has dropped significantly. Affordability is there now, okay? And computing power and the computing performance at affordable cost is where it's gaining its popularity. We have to understand that. Industry people look at it that way too. Now, so if we are talking about all these kind of a productivity and connectivity and also, ecosystem that is not going to stop. And of course, we are talking about 5G, and how about the 6G? It's about 3 to 5 years down the scope, and they are thinking about even greater stuff. All right. So if you take the 5G network, what they talked about, would be a reality, is a reality right now. We see this kind of tremendous real-time connectivity and so much bandwidth to try and connect, large number of systems. It was a vision at that time, whether we can connect lots of these kind of IoTs and try to do some clever things. And why are we doing it? I mean, end of the day, the motivation is to make money, right? So people are, for example, I'll go into the details later, but if you take the public transportation system, if somebody could run it more efficiently, because you have a connected infrastructure, you know when to schedule a bus, what kind of a size of a bus you need to schedule for certain times of the day. If you could do these kind of clever things, because you can make informed decisions, if you could do that, then great, right? You save. Your profitability might go up, or you enhance the overall scale of the operations. And this is what's motivating them. End of the day, you must, when I used to teach embedded computing systems, what is the right choice? And the answer is it depends. It depends on your affordability. It depends on all the other constraints. Likewise here, why people are doing them, the bottom line is money, to make more money, right? So we have to think like that, and that's what's driving them. So it's not going to stop. And over here, you can see this is the kind of a wave we are in. And in the wave, I just highlighted the fact of physical and digital convergence. And physical and digital convergence is something that is happening faster than we can cope with. Maybe I'll go into try and elaborate a little bit more about what I'm trying to say here, right? So if you take the IT and OT, predominantly they live separately and they used to live happily. And OT, it has its own software, operating technologies, and they are built once and put aside. Nobody connects to it. It does its job. Even in theaters, operating theaters, you have medical devices and systems. If you're going to go for a knee replacement surgery, there are things that for laser cutting and whatever, there are softwares and algorithms running. They are left alone, okay? And nobody connects to them. And that means no cyber threats, right? Because if you are not connected, unless otherwise you have physical security concerns, nobody's going to harm it. But even the top medical device and systems providers are saying, oh, I need to learn how my system is operating in the theaters. I can learn from the data that I collect. I can tune the algorithm. Oh, even better, I can sort of remotely configure that medical device or the system so that, I am always remain at the top of the game. You can call it as productivity, you can call it as makes common sense. But when you connect, there comes the conundrum that we got the headaches of cybersecurity threats, right, and worries. So is this happening or not? It is indeed, because people, even big companies are making major decisions. I've been consultant to a major medical company in the US and so on, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And the problem there is, conventionally, the OT systems that are built never have this kind of a maintainability context in mind. Even automotive electronics, they are built OEM products. You don't know who wrote them, compiled binary codes, they are running. Did anybody think about having to maintain them because vulnerabilities could creep into them? The software might decay because somebody found new vulnerabilities. There are no mechanisms. So they are catching up, but legacy systems are there, and we have a conundrum of having to connect them, and as a result, introduce more problems. Okay? So this phenomena is taking place. So the IT, yes, we understand DevOps and DevSecOps and whatever, and all sorts of things, and we've gone crazy with open source, and we are talking about, again, in the name of productivity, we rely on open source for rapid development, first to market. All that is great. But the problem there, indeed, is that we worry about the issues later if the code decays, or we found a way to, we find a way to fix them. So this phenomena is also happening while we are being encouraged to connect more and more systems together. So there came the edge computing as a result, right? We are now talking about feeble, simple, very weak, highly constrained embedded systems, IoTs. They need power to make intelligent decisions. And then you came with the edge computing and keeping the computing resources at the edge of the network. Now, this essentially means that you have a dearth of possibilities in making all these humble devices collaborate with each other and provide high order of intelligence. And so that's exactly what's going on. Okay? Now, what is happening here? We've got a problem again. We've got a weak system, highly constrained, in terms of power consumption, processing power, whatever, but they are equally susceptible to attacks, right? And if they're being attacked, the weakest link, we are doomed, no matter what we do about securing all else. You have a weakest backdoor, you are doomed. Okay, so you can now begin to see people are not worrying about this. They are going around making things happen, in order to try and enhance the productivity, eventually the profitability, and then people are saying, the rest of the problem is someone else's. Okay, so this is one classic example where you have, these kind of robots working. There used to be a manufacturing line, they do that. Now they've gone on to starting to collaborate, do things more intelligently. Just bear with me a second. My throat is important for the next few minutes, right? So. Okay, so you can begin to see now phenomena of, why do you want to do it? You want to make the cost of production cheaper and less prone to error, more optimization, so less wastage and so on. And now you can begin to visualize this edge intelligence is allowing all this to happen. So OT and IT are kind of converging, and it's inevitable, right? It's already happening, and it's going to be the way of life. No going back, no kind of air-gapped systems anymore. Right, so you can see that industrial IoT market is growing exponentially into trillions, and it is to be expected. And so now people are talking about, if I do kind of an Internet of Things and edge intelligence, why not talk about Internet of Behaviors? This is all very possible, because now you're trying to do IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, whatever else, you're putting them into a mixed bag and say, what interesting possibilities can there be? All right, so I just want you to take note of what's really happening. The physical digital convergence is inevitable because driven by, you can call it greed or money or whatever, it's happening. No one can stop. By the way, I do work with the #1 automotive industry in China, #1. Yeah, their revenues in billions. I'm collaborating with them on R&D. I'm the lead PI on cybersecurity research and worries and concerns. Only last week we had the management committee meeting with the industry practitioners. So fortunately in Singapore, you are not talking about abstract research, you are talking about something that the industry wants. And I can tell you that's very different to, the challenges and problem statements are very different to academic research. We had to kind of trying to let them converge. So this is happening. So here is the mega picture, physical world and digital world, it's all now getting connected. Now, the only conundrum here, in fact, is the fact that transformation market is going up. It's not digital disruption, it's a digital transformation, it's going up. And the OT systems are always lagging, somehow people connecting it, and there has not been properly thought out OT systems that has to be brought in. Can you change them overnight? No, it's not that easy. Can I go into the electronics that have been perfected by Continental or Bosch for the automotive electronics? Can I go and change them overnight? No. What are they trying to do? Please tell me how to find vulnerabilities because I am being exposed because things are connected. And someone's going to get into there and they might compromise their reputation, right? It's not easy. So how do you do this, right? This is what got us to do our spin-off, okay? We were able to take some binary code, we can reverse engineer it, we could identify vulnerable codes or bugs or security bugs or patches, and we learned how to fix them. I led that particular program. My colleague looked at it from open source vulnerabilities and software composition analysis, and he tried to fix them, and we came together and we managed to even go far as getting Series A funding. All right, so this is the problem I want you to sort of take note of. Now let me just quickly switch to the AI and IoT kind of a conundrum, if you like. So in here, this is the mixed bag I mentioned, right? So people were asking, what can we do with IoT to become more intelligent? Okay, they call them as AIoT, all right? And this is, we are also guilty of contributing or disrupting the world, and I share with you in a few slides that I have here. So we had a mandate. In here, we about 2017, about 7 years ago, I managed to win $46 million, real cash. From whom? From the government, right? To do what? With a German university, Technological University of Munich, trying to come up with intelligent transport system for Singapore, right? We kind of painted all sorts of stories and managed to grab the money. What did we do with them? Part of the story is this, right? And the idea was, can we one day have a kind of a demand-aware dynamic navigation? Because we are all connected, right? And I know what I want to do, what my journey is going to be. I know where I want to travel. I just, sort of, put forward my demand. Then what about the bus stops? If people are standing at the bus stops, I watch it and keep watching at it and say, how many people are there at certain times of the day, right? And you aggregate these demands. If you can aggregate this demand, you can offline train them, and then at best say, in the near future, on Wednesday morning, this is the likely traffic that I'm going to expect. Of course, there can be changes, but then you schedule. And then you keep on learning. And then you turn around and say, why have a fixed timetables and timelines where you see empty buses and all that? Why don't we just make it all fully connected? And can this be possible? So I took up about $7 million out of $46 million. I was the program director. I was also principal investigator to that. I had some group of people, and we went crazy, and this is our campus, and we took some photos of our bus stops. And then here we ended up just simply having developed a tiny ML-based IoT using mobile chipsets. These are my students. They developed them. And there you have a real-time in a crowd estimation system. And MAE is less than 1 person per frame. We got it working. We installed them on campus. I got the permission from the president. We installed them. And we were just aggregating demand. The beauty of this is that it's a privacy-preserving technique. It doesn't record anything. It doesn't record about, and it doesn't intrude into people's privacy. It's just real-time. It calculates and aggregates, estimates the number of people there, and then sends it across for offline training. We then said, okay, let's take a shuttle bus route, identify the bus stops, and we mount the cameras. This is basically based on mobile chipsets, right? A 4-core processor arrangement. We pipelined it. We stretched as much as we could on the resources, limited resources. Low power consumption, remember, the mobile chipset world is the advanced, right? We took them, it's our Droid board, and our students implemented them. I just wanted to inspire you all. This is something that we ended up doing for real, and I wanted to demonstrate that. So you can see that the live demo. Now, one led to the other. We ended up having this kind of technologies. So we ended up, unaware to ourselves, built AIoTs, okay? And then we could have crowd estimation, we can have intelligent pedestrian crossing, and then we can measure queue lengths and illegal parking detections. For example, in the bus stop, if there was a car stopped, if the bus is coming, you give a virtual right of way, let the car get out so that bus can move without wasting time getting into a jam. And, you know, this is, you know, on the top left, you can see that we used a very, very lightweight deep learning system, and then we managed to come up with an affordable sensory system, right? Affordable is the key. If I could have solved it using a PC and then demonstrated it, no excitement, because you cannot do it at scale. You need to mount them in all the bus stops, right? It has to be cheap, and it has to be affordable enough. So once Google X came to our university, just a thought coming to my mind, and they said, oh, we have to come up with something so disruptive, something so impossible to achieve, we got to go after. That's a Google X project. Very bright group of people. And they were touring the universities. They came, and I was pulled in to meet them. And in that conversation, I basically turned around and said, why don't we do this? Can you, at that time I was doing pedestrian collision avoidance system for vehicles. I said, can you all go about trying to come up with a, you know, nothing out, you know, blue sky, get down to the practicality. Can you come up with a pedestrian collision avoidance system for less than US $50? Key. And they all stunned. They all looked at me and said, yeah, that's a difficult problem, isn't it? How are you going to do that for $50, right? So I think we have to turn around and bring about the right kind of constraints, including the price point. The moment you do that, it requires disruptive innovation, okay? So we come up with something like this, and we ended up having a pedestrian crossing system. So what we do, again, this is again photos from our campus. We managed to real-time detect pedestrians waiting to cross the road. And then we also detected real-time the oncoming traffic. So we decided to be the virtual assistant, deciding on when to control the traffic lights to be able to have a seamless movements of pedestrians and the vehicles. Okay, we done that. And so over here, I think you can see a bit of a demo. This is, I know exactly where it is, but you may not know, but you can see we done that. We are able to detect these vehicles' presence. The beauty is these are not done on a PC, please understand. I think that's not a problem, okay? We managed to do that on a tiny thumbnail chipset, okay? One single chip, and we managed to do that. So this is the part. And by doing that, we could then propose to the Land Transport Authority, well, why not have these intelligent pedestrian crossing systems? And we managed to stir it all up. So what am I saying? IoTs becoming AIoTs can lead to disruptive innovation, right? These are all leading to what? Connected systems, right? Or connected infrastructure. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are disrupting the world, right, to be able to move in that direction. All right, so we went on to mount cameras all over the place, and this is a real story I wanted to share with you. These are all efforts from the students, all right? Now you can just sit and imagine how many solutionings, that can come from this kind of a core work, right? And suddenly you see a new business, right? Okay? Opportunities rather. And if you take the autonomous vehicles, for example, same thing. We need to know. Autonomous vehicles are not that intelligent, right? They are barely surviving, even in the latest technology, how to reverse without crashing into something, how to autonomously drive. You heard Dr. Nabil saying how easily they can be spoofed, and all sorts of problems, right? Still goes on. But at the same time, the auto industry is pushing for this. Autonomous vehicles shall be it, right? But there's a lot of worry, a lot of apprehensiveness. And so you can see now there are, the personal mobility devices and the red circle there, somebody traveling on these electric mopeds and so on. And if they're coming along, they're at a pace across the road. And these are very accident-prone problems in Singapore. And will the autonomous vehicle know this? What is around the corner? But what if we were to have sensors, then do inform these autonomous vehicles in a timely manner of the impending threat? If you can do that, then we are moving towards a safer ecosystem. So these are real problems that automotive industries and land transport authorities are currently looking to arrive at affordable propositions. This is very important, right? Affordable propositions. So this is all ongoing work. Now, one of the recent requests by the government agency is a Land Transport Authority, and I think URA, I think, stands for Urban something, right, Authority. Urban Redevelopment Authority, I'm supposed to know that, it's just my lack of sleep. And ST Engineering is a big company. They're all coming up and say, oh, the bus stops of today in Singapore are not AV ready. They're not AV ready. Why? Because you can look at these taxi drivers hanging around and people not in an orderly manner. AV is supposed to navigate this complex system and park safely. And they said, this is not going to happen. AV is going to get stranded or stopped further back. It's not going to have this intelligence of maneuvering in a mixed traffic environment. It's not capable. So right now, it's a problem, research problem the Land Transport Authority wants to solve. How can we solve this? We need to have AIoTs, all connected, collaborating, and making some timely, information sharing to the, oncoming vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and so on. So you can begin to think now, even in the transportation sector, the connectedness is only going to get worse, right? Is it, by the way, critical? Is that kind of infrastructure critical? Absolutely yes. Because if I do something and cause an accident or whatever, disrupt my critical transport network, I'm disrupting the entire city if you're not careful, right? So we have to be careful. All right, so this is one of the recent things sort of interested me. Who are the other culprits? Us people, right? We want more and more and more. And recent survey indicates that 80% of the US motorists want AI voice assistance. Well, how are we going to get that done? All right, talk to me intelligently, tell me what to do, how to respond. So you can see the multimodal information that it should aggregate before it can serve the end user wisely. This is current demand, right? So on one sense, I'm painting an exciting development of intense connectivity, and this connectivity at large are all going to become critical, and we need to try to secure them, right? So I'm not talking about AI for security, I'm just looking at the entire ecosystem here. So you can see global AIoT market is also growing as a result of all this, right? Okay, so let's take a look with this kind of a backdrop, what the infrastructure landscape is looking like. My watch is running on Singapore time. I don't have any idea where I am, how far am I into, which is a good thing, right? So I'll keep talking. All right, so critical infrastructure sectors, examples. You're now beginning to see that what used to be critical infrastructure versus typical standard infrastructures, that is becoming very gray, and it's all, everything and anything is becoming quite critical. All right, and it's everywhere, right? So you can see manufacturing sectors, transportation systems I covered, healthcare and public, everywhere you are beginning to have critical infrastructures in the making. And I will share with you the most recent fund that I've secured. I led the program with Imperial College faculty and our faculty members and my colleagues from School of Medicine, Computer Science, and Electronics, Electrical and Electronics, right? And I tell you what we are trying to do. And we managed to get the $23 million. I say we fooled the government or fooled the international reviewers. It was an international review panel for a day, but we got that money. I will tell you in a moment what we are trying to do with that money. Okay, so if you talk about offline training and online prediction for the transportation, and this is definitely an ecosystem for demand-aware transportation. I'm not intending to go into the details. It's one of the PhD students' work. By the way, it was done by one of the Sri Lankan students. He did excellent work towards the end of it. It was well regarded by the Land Transport Authority. The question was, can we have a demand-aware transportation system for Singapore? And taking the existing Singapore network, bus networks and all that, the answer was yes, it can be done. That means you cut them into zones, because there was a particular topology in the way that bus networks were all engineered. And you can get them into zones, you can put a bunch of vehicles of different sizes, and you get these cameras fixed, and then they learn, and they decide what kind of vehicle sizes and what timing they should be routed around. And the overall aim is to enhance the productivity of moving people. That's it. You're not trying to please every single public out there, but you're trying to enhance. And we looked at that, and it's feasible. All because we can come up with affordable AIoTs that can lead to this proposition. Right, this is the one about the Imperial College. I just wanted to quickly go through a few things that are there and to let you know these are not, these are very possible disruptive outcomes of connected infrastructure. This is precisely $23 million. I was a lead PI for this, and it took us about 2.5 years. I must tell a lie if I say otherwise, and just get eminent researchers in Imperial College. I had the fortunate opportunity to work with professors who had successful startups, implantable medical devices and so on, but they've never been concerned. They've even say, what is cybersecurity? They were not at all concerned. If your pacemaker is connected and is made to operate for a long time, functionally correct, as long as you don't have any adversarial mindset, it works. But when I went to Israel, they showed me, without touching the patient, they can attack the pacemaker. And you can decide whether to kill the person slowly or fast. Okay? So once you begin to realize the potential danger about all this, then is the system built correct in the first place? Is it adversarial attack resistant, side channel attack resistant? And if you're going to connect it in order to try and adjust your pacemakers because your patient conditions, health conditions are varying without having to take it out, then you have remote connectivity. Then the question was, can this connectedness can also apply to healthcare systems, like your insulin monitoring systems, and can basically, what if I were to run an algorithm and then later your measurements and all that are looking better, I'm going to adjust it. Oh, by the way, press a button, doctor presses a button, your algorithms are tuned, you go home and you don't realize what's going on, but you are being better cared for, personal medicine. Is it possible? Or is it going to happen? Everybody wants it to happen. Are the legacy systems ready for it? No. They are the OTs, if you like, right? Do we need to have this one day? Yes. then the question was, can you give us the certain level of assurance that it is safe? This particular interface is going to be high integrity interface. Now, this is a huge headache. You've got several, so you have got an infrastructure, several connected systems. You need to take, you've got the device itself you need to protect, right? You've got to design for security by design concepts. And then you've got a secure communication, and then sophisticated data analytics of your data that also need to be protected, your data analytics paradigm, and so on. So it's not just the device, it's the entire ecosystem that needs to be protected. So how do we do this? So they said, this is a very, very interesting problem. We are all been working in isolation, let's come together. So the computer scientists and talking about data analytics and AI and whatever, said, okay, I'll chip in, I'll throw my hat in. And medical device developers said, yes, I never thought of it. Tell me, how can I coexist and give you that higher levels of assurance of security? It's an open problem. Right now, you all know Imperial College is pretty high in standing, right, in terms of innovations and their position and the colleagues over there. This is a brand new problem. It's going to be tackled over the next 4 years. Okay. I've taken on one of them, and Li Yang is, I kind of handed over to him after we secured the funds to lead the program, but I'll be looking after one of the packages. Okay, so this is the one I mentioned about Smith's nephew. They also, it's very recent. Again, by the way, I don't know, this is apparently a colleague of mine, ex-colleague of mine from the university, Srikanthan. I'm mentioning it because I'm here. And he was a faculty at the University of Moratuwa, I think. Was a graduate and a faculty, left for US or Singapore and then to US, and is working for this company. And then he dragged me in to consult. And the problem there, this is top-notch company. They have very successful business of medical systems in operating theaters and everywhere. They want to go connected. They were changing all their platforms. And they haven't thought of cybersecurity. They're only looking at productivity, right? It's such a worrying landscape, right? So this is ongoing problems. Food industry, food security is becoming very important. We get lots of things imported. We don't know where they're coming from. I'm talking about in Singapore. We don't know where they're coming from, what seems to happen to it. People, inquisitive, they want to know. Okay? Has it come through the right channels? Or has it gone through stages where I would not want to touch this, vegetable or whatever the items that we want to intake. So this is also going to go. So this is another project. I'll just quickly cover this as a last slide. I took it off, put it in, took it off, put it in, because it's my pet project right now. And this is using your mobile phone to be able to track your movements with or without the GPS. So we have a sophisticated algorithm developed using multimodal data fusion techniques. And then there is also fairly a MP-hard problem of stochastic optimization for scheduling that's running on one side. These are all coming together, trying to deliver healthcare to people in homes. This is, I don't know about Sri Lanka, but in the UK you have this. You have hospitals, you can't keep everybody in the hospitals because it's expensive. The next level of care is home care, right? You go to their homes and provide care, and you get to try and go there and look after people at different levels of illness. And then after the home care is the care home, and then, of course, whatever the spectrum. Here, this particular device got all the AIs in it, all the complex algorithms in it, localization, tracking, and then medication administration protocols. But this is going to be handed over to the individuals as an app, if you like, and that's its correct operation without being tampered into, so critical in making sure the delivery of healthcare remains highly integral. Okay, so this is very important, and this is going on. And right now, people want to take it on because they just want to get things done in an affordable manner. They want this particular solution, but again, we are going into this ecosystem and disrupting and asking for more and more challenges to be met, okay, from a cybersecurity perspective. So with all this happening, let's go and take a look to see how do we at least pretend that we are doing the right things to stay on top of the game, all right? Because whatever I painted is unstoppable. It's all happening. Constant innovations are taking place. Us researchers are proponent of this, and so is the industry after the greed of wanting to make more and more money, okay? So the first thing I want to address is the software security. And again, there's a lot to cover, but I'm going to go through at a quick run. And this is core to our startup, IP and technology. And you all understand the open source dependency. About 90% or more of the code nowadays is open source because you want to develop it. Open source, the problem is, you know, it runs in, it suffers the problem of code decay. After a while, people find vulnerabilities, and the CVEs, you know, are reported on a daily basis, and then how do you go about patch it? So if you've got about 100 vulnerabilities, and then which one do you choose first? How do you prioritize? If you use the entirety of the open source, then it's easy to find it. But if you use part of the open source, because developers use all sorts of things, you know, they say, I don't need this part of the library, I only need this part, then hunting and fixing them is a problem. Even more difficult, that's different from the high-level languages, even more difficulty when you do go and compile them into executables, right? They say, I don't know where that software came from, but I want to make sure that it is secure, it's vulnerable-free. And so we developed some techniques, and we came up with solutions, and that is an ongoing challenge here, and this is not going to stop, it's not going to go away, it's going to be intensified. We must get smarter and smarter to fix this, right? So this is what I meant by looking for known vulnerabilities and looking for unknown vulnerabilities. That's a 0 days, right, on the right-hand side. So when we developed these kind of techniques in the labs, we went and hacked into some, you know, these mobile apps from the banks, and we've quietly went and mentioned to them of the weaknesses and problems, and one led to the other. We also managed to win some bug bounties, and then managed to fool some investor to put some money, and then we grew the company from there on, okay? So this is something going on. This is some kind of a detailed flow. This is an area that is still very hot. You know, a lot of people are playing this particular game, but not so well. Lots of false positives in identifying these vulnerabilities. And then the problem is, what are the remediations that you can, you know, actions you can take? Okay, this is a growing problem. And, you know, I mentioned about the bug bounties. I will skip the DevSecOps. Most of you know now in the DevOps there, you also have a security in the flow so that you end up making sure these issues are being resolved continuously, all right? So DevSecOps is also very standard. But this is the one that got the money for my graduate student who got the YC Combinator. What they're trying to do is, you know, you identify the vulnerabilities, right? And then you trying to come up with an automated manner in which to patch. It's almost like a self-healing proposition, you know. In the background, you identify the vulnerabilities, and then they pass it to the, you know, the software security experts to go about fixing them. Because the problem is, it's not version upgrade. As you all know, it's going to fix the problem. Version upgrade can break the code. So how do you make sure whatever the patch you are making, it also makes the code run without breaking? And they've done some targeted verification techniques. That means they understand the vulnerability. They first of all rank them in terms of criticality, and they go into the vulnerability and then turn around and say, okay, the vulnerability is this part of the application. I'm going to do some targeted verification. And after the patching, to ensure everything is running well, like your developers will test it and say, is it running okay? We are automating it. And automate it and patch the damn thing. And don't say a word about it. So you're becoming resilient, aren't you, now? Because it's all going to be intensified. It's going to be a commonplace. Don't make a big drama out of it. Can be automated. And that's what got him the $500,000. And by the way, we had some preliminary results to demonstrate the viability of it. And hence he secured the funds, all right? So this is very much a hot cake, and he's right now in California working on it. So what are we trying to do? We are saying that, look, this is unstoppable. It's going to happen in higher degree of intensity. We need to find ways to get smarter ourselves. Code decay is inevitable. It's going to happen. Can anybody come up with open source libraries that is going to be code decay free? No. It's not possible. Why? We are in a hurry to get to the market and then worry about. So we need to find. It's almost like us catching a cold, and then we say, well, we find a way to fix it and get going, right? So this is the world we are in. Okay, so we are not stopping there in the software security. People are saying, you have a vulnerability in your software, but whereabout in the software is it? First of all, even more importantly, was the software constructed properly? Or was it developed by somebody in a very unorganized manner so that you go and poke somewhere and everything end up collapsing? Or is it been engineered properly? So you are looking at the software quality from a software architecture perspective. And you are questioning where on the earth that vulnerability sits. And then you are making a decision, the criticality of that vulnerability, by looking at multiple factors. And then taking action, say, this is critical, let's deal with it. So all of that intelligence we need to acquire. So we need to bring everything together, and you can see application security is moving to software intelligence, okay? And this is a must, because without software, we have nothing, right? So a lot of work is ongoing in this area. And let's move to hardware security, maybe a little bit closer to my heart. And hardware security, we started asking the questions, are today's computers okay? Can we get the standard off-the-shelf computers and be happy with, as though nothing has changed? What about this new threat of cybersecurity? Should we then think of designing a computing platform that is meant for this new era where we are going to be inundated with cyber threats? So, security by design has been mandated. We came up with lots of architectures and solutions. This is a must, because your starting point must be correct. You can't start on general purpose processing platforms and then look for all sorts of fixes and then hope that you are going to be on top of the game. You need to try and be smarter. So security by design is quite important, and is becoming very necessary. And there are techniques going on by trying to do some obfuscation, which was there in some secure operating system, real-time operating systems in the past, when we are dealing with financial transactions and all that. Now it's becoming standard methodology. Can you obfuscate? And can you begin to have some hardware diversification so that execution timing of instructions are dynamically varied? Just think about this. So you have a program, people cannot interpret it because you've got some custom instructions injected. Custom instructions are instructions of your choice, proprietary to the company. You introduce them, and then you also vary the execution time. And then so that side channel attacks are going to be that much more difficult because you've got secrets going everywhere, right? And should that become a standard methodology for building hardware systems? Answer is, from the research community, is a strong yes, right? Otherwise, we are going to be easy, for the adversarial attacks, and that can be problematic. Okay, so this is going on, and is it just a kind of a blue sky kind of a thoughts and never going to be reality? The answer is no. RISC-V architecture is an open source processor, code that is available for us. RISC-V is gaining a lot of popularity. You can go there and you can put your custom instructions. In fact, a number of my PhD students worked on custom instructions and development and how to do that on the high-density field programmable gate arrays, but now you have open source. So you can build a computer of your choice, processor of your choice, by injecting your own custom instructions. Nice. and you don't talk about it. You see, you keep that as your IP. And then what you do, in fact, is you go into the architecture. You can also have a configurable processor, reconfigurable processor sitting there, a small entity that just disturbs the execution times, randomly varying it, so that the side channel attack people will not know what the heck is going on, when they're trying to infer, model inference, reverse engineering. All that is, you say, thank you, you can watch me, but you will not be able to make any sense, right? Is this possible as part of the design methodology for your end product? The answer is yes. Okay? So the mindset of taking standard processing platforms and implementing is fast changing. It has to change if you're going to make a differentiation. All right. So there's another one. This is adopted by industry right now, by an automotive industry, taken on very seriously. And let me give you the gist of it. Very simple. Right? I'm sorry I'm not bombarding too many things. It's very simple. So imagine that you have a complex thing going on in an application. And you don't know what it is. There are many, many touch points. It's complex. So what you can do is, under controlled environment, you say, please operate. Operate normally. During the operation, normal operation, you call it as a benign operation. You don't care what it does. You have something known as high performance counters on the architecture level. You monitor them, and then you turn and say, hey, this is all normal. Pass, 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 pass. You do a set of experiment, right? This is offline approach. Then what you do is you put some malicious attack. This is what Dr. Nabil was saying, right? You look at some adversarial attacks onto it and say, hey, the behavior is going to be different now. So you take from what is known as a benign operation and consider those that are intentionally, injected with malicious malwares or malicious activities, even faulty scenarios, as abnormal behaviors. Do a T-score, can you separate them? Because it's very complex. So can I tune my system and say, I'm just watching at runtime anomalous behavior? If I can do that, I raise a flag. Because before the damage can be done, at the architecture level is the fastest and earliest point at which you can alert. Of course, there can be false positives. But you can also have a high degree of confidence there is a malicious behavior going on. Whatever it is, the system should not be continuing. It's got to be stopped. Automotive industry is adopting this right now. So what am I painting? A complex scenario. Let's not go down to the rule-based decisions. You treat it like a complex system. You train it, and you end up saying that, oh, you behave normally because you are under my control. There are no adversarial attackers here. Behave. I monitor you. Then I am going to say, what if you are attacked? How are you going to behave? I'll look at this as anomalous behavior. I don't care about what the application is doing. I'm only looking at what seems normal and what seems abnormal. Beautiful. And you do that at real time. And we have demonstrated this in the lab. Okay? We are actually porting this into a real platform, a reference platform of automotive industry right now. So I'm just throwing some ideas. How are we going to deal with complexities and what are the things that are going on, right? So this is one. And we managed to come up with a framework, multimodal intrusion detections. You can see, you can look at the lambda at the bottom is the one that I explained. Indicators and high performance counters. We look at the kernel space and syscalls, and we have got a very modern, right, anomalous detection system that can operate in real time and without impeding on the performance of the computing. This is important, right? You're not interfering with the code or anything. You're not changing the code majorly at all. It's all operating. You're just watching to see, hey, this doesn't look right. Okay? So I think these are the kind of things people are trying in order to manage complexity, if you like. Okay? All right. Security for OS, thank God. I don't need to cover it. Dr. Nabil has covered it quite nicely. But the slides I was going to show these, how do you look at the side channel attack parameter extraction, and then reverse engineer the model. Once you have the model, you are better equipped to attack the system. That's one work going on by faculty. They are also trying to do targeted attacks while you are doing the training the system, and then making sure you become resistant to these side channel attacks. The problem here is the performance gets affected of the overall neural network had you done it without the possibility of side channel attacks. But with the side channel attack resistant method, the neural network performance is somewhat degraded. It's okay. You turn around and say, do you want performance or you want performance and security? So you have a trade-off and reach a balance. And that's exactly what current work is going on. Okay? And then, of course, adversarial attack, spoofing issues Dr. Nabil did mention. I'm mentioning it because I'm fascinated. I'm really grateful he covered all that. So here, what people are saying in automotive industry is that, oh, if I used a camera-based detection of objects, obstructions like putting a patch on the road, Tesla was asked to go to the, head towards the traffic instead of going away. Remember the morning's lecture? You see, I make a good student. I paid attention to whatever he was saying. And here, what people are saying, in fact, is they have multimodal sensors. LiDAR system, camera system, you check one against the other to make sure that you become adversarial attack resistant. What does it mean? It means you have no choice. It's going to cost you more in order to remain vigilant, right? This has to be done. Otherwise, we've got problems. You've got also data manipulation attacks. You also have a sensor spoofing attack on the neural networks itself. Okay? So these are the issues that are going on. And of course, there were dimensionality reduction is another technique people tried. They got some very good results because people tend to work on a high dimensionality training because people are always after performance. But you're saying if you reduce the dimensionality, you can, mitigate these risks of attacks. So these are all being demonstrated. That's, one of my colleagues. He's an tenured associate professor, but he was my ex-PhD student prior to, so I stole his slide. All right, so intrusion detection. Can I just get an idea on where I am, please, with timing? So that you see, professors know how to finish it in 2 minutes or 20 minutes. Any indication from anyone? Are we okay? Nobody's bothered. Good. Okay, so you're all staying. So we need to close it, right? Yeah. Okay. So we have intrusion detection methods. I don't know what that sign means. It's stop now or stop as soon as you can. Well, the good thing is I can interpret however I like, right? So, okay. Intrusion detection methods are there. This is something I worked with Ben Gurion University Research Center. You can see that Professor Yuval Ilovich is very well-known professor. We're good friends. We work together on a program, a bio-inspired way of mitigating cyber attacks. And it led to you having agents. And if you make them all software agents, who do you trust is a problem. So you build some hardware agents you can trust. There are software agents. And the beauty of the idea is that you see that attacks DB. So we learn about the attacks that are coming on. And there is a way of predicting what the next attack is going to be. And then you are commissioning these software agents in anticipation of this attack impending. Beautiful, isn't it? You are not reacting to an attack. You are being proactive to be able to mitigate future attacks. That was the work. Okay? I'm sorry if I'm confusing you. You can talk to me offline, but I can take you through because it's something that I work closely on. But that's something. So these are the ideas that people are working on, is to get smarter and get on top of these cyber attacks. And automotive systems, many consumer products and whatever are coming along, you don't buy the products from your consumer parts or automotive parts from one vendor. You buy from multiple of them. I threaten them, if you all come and coexist, are you secure or are you insecure? Because you all have to coexist because you need to sell them. They are all going to go into one vehicle. But what happens of the relative security because of your coexistence? And then this led to us proposing ways of take that complex system, almost like putting through some test. You attack it based on knowledge base you have and potential attacks that are impending, and then you try to see whether it can withstand these attacks. If you can withstand the attacks, you say, okay, you can drive it for another 6 months, but come back 6 months later. I want to attack you again in an informed manner. Land Transport Authority says, people are going to import autonomous vehicles. How do I know they are roadworthy? Good question, right? You know, they're cutting the prices to sell them, but how do I know it's safe enough on my Singapore roads? This is a proposal that's been looked at seriously. Cyber crimes, I will skip. I will not mention it because I need to respect that signal. And last 2-3 slides, smart cities. Let me just elevate it, get carried away and talk about at the city level now, okay? Is Singapore government happy about this Smart Nation initiative? And because I'm close to these government agencies, the answer is no. They're very nervous because people are going to throw solutions, right? And they're going to come up, and they're all viable solutions. And it's good because we have an efficient city, we have a smart city, and so on. But can you sleep at ease? Because of all these potential dangers that are lurking, or people just releasing stuff that are not being checked, you know, just only to wait for something to go wrong, okay? And this is not good. So they've come up with this is just a statement. I'll skip that statement. This is very important. What they are setting out to do, in fact, is if anybody is going to release an IoT into a new product, they need to be certified, right? They need to be certified. They need to be checked to ensure there is some level. It's almost like you're constructing a building, and you need to know you follow certain procedures, and it is safe enough to be released and be part of your solutioning process. So they call labeling scheme that is started. They're encouraging them right now. We'll give you some kind of brownie points if you are certified by these labeling schemes. And if you are, then possibly you can sell your products better. But if you are not, knowing Singapore government, they might make them extinct, right? So it's mandated. Somebody at the national level has to take responsibility of not letting things crowd at will. They must have a check and balance. So this is going on, and this is something that I feel as a must when we go into this connected infrastructure, all the conundrum, in addition to the software security, hardware security, and you know, the intrusion detection methods and all that I've discussed, you need to also do this. Only then, I think we see some level of sanity in moving forward and enjoy the benefits of connected infrastructure. All right, there is a $62 million just announced. I'm not tempted to get this small amount of money here and there, but not at my stage right now. But there is fresh money, encouraging people to put up proposals. They are all my colleagues. In fact, Liang, Boan, and Chunyan, Liang and Boan I hired when I was dean. Okay, so they are now the program leaders. Right, conclusions. Maybe you can read for yourselves. I can just summarize. The number of devices connected is estimated to grow. We know this. And 5G allows IoT to exchange information in real time. So you have to now start to begin to visualize, hey, where are we heading? Is it exciting or is it going to be worrying? I'll leave that to you to decide. And connected systems equipped with intelligence is fast becoming pervasive. We understand that. Okay, now I've given you a taste of that. And then build and use for many years mindset of IoT has to change, right? Because it's going to be always remain connected and maintainable. If you can't maintain it, you're doomed, all right? And cybersecurity solution must be holistic due to inevitable convergence of IT and OT, which is important. Certification will become a crucial. My last slide mentioned that. Without certification, there is no policing that is going to take place. Without policing, we got chaos. All right, so that has to happen. Embedded computing architectures must evolve to support security by design requirements, which is true. And vulnerability analysis and management of software must be automated to mitigate adversarial attacks. All right? So remember, the ransomware and everything is because someone is slow to do the patching or updating. No more. You know, you do it as soon as you can, automatically. That's where investors are pumping in money. Right? Is it going to happen? Yes. Why can't we do automate verification? Why can't we do the targeted direction? We have some early results. That's why that my ex-grad students is in California right now. Okay? And AI security will become crucial for sustaining critical infrastructure, which is important. AI, without AI, can you see solutions? Possibly not. So if AI is going to be there, who is going to protect it? We have to take care of that. All right? Governments must invest heavily into youth-led cybersecurity training to increase local talent pool, which is very, very important. There's an acute shortage in Singapore, cybersecurity talent. So if you are ever interested in cybersecurity, I'm telling you, future is so bright. Okay? I know one of my relationships manager at the bank, his wife is a penetration test expert, and I said, you married a rich lady. All right? That's the world is going to be. All right? Penetration testing, because, you know, why not be very profitable in this kind of conundrum, you know? Why don't you go and try and tell them what they need to do? So please, for the youngsters, you need to also keep that in mind. And it has become critical to inculcate ethics into computer science curriculum. This is very important. You know, we have our students hacking into our NTU network. The smart students, they're trying to get at the marks or whatever, but I'm in the part of the steering committee trying, you know, hear all the problems. It's smart, but you must also inculcate ethics. Otherwise, who are the people who are turning into adversarial attackers? I'll do anything for money is the very people we train to become computer scientists. So we have to inculcate a culture of ethics there. And CS experts in academia must partner with the law enforcement. I didn't cover that. I skipped the slides because of time constraint. But I'm working closely with the Interpol headquarters. And if someone who brought me here, instrumental, was Anupa, who apparently a student who worked in Colombo University, worked under me. He said, sir, would you please, you know, go and give a keynote? And he worked with me with the Interpol project, okay, in cybersecurity. It's a beautiful story. Interpol is in dire trouble. They don't know. They don't have that. Hackers are very smart, sitting there and saying that, catch me if you can. Interpol headquarters tells me there's nothing they can do about it. I can give an entire lecture on that, right? But the reality, in fact, is they must partner with academia in order to combat this cyber criminals and cyber-enabled criminals. We need to go after them. They don't have the weapons, right? And cyber physical security is important. They are good. I have a nose. You know, remember, investigators are top-notch. Remember, your number one in police is part of the Interpol, you know, team, right? And I was working with, the director was number one police in India, from India. So these are top people, think tanks, but they are having huge problems, okay? And they came and signed a joint declaration with us to collaborate because they also need that. And how to do that? There are some interesting propositions we put up, and we are securing some funds at the moment. So with this, I'll stop and ask you if there are any questions. I'm hoping you won't ask me any questions, but then let's see.
So what kind of, in talking about the ethical framework, in regarding AI ethics, what kind of new frameworks or any kind of new ethical AI guidelines have been introduced to deal with these kinds of threats? Do you know?
Foresee it's coming.
Yeah, for these AI threats, what kind of new guidelines or ethical?
There are no such guidelines. That's the problem. Okay, there is no discipline in this world. There is not a discipline how you choose your software engineer today. Right? We have a fundamental problem there, right? We don't know. As long as it works, you think everything is fine. There could be a problem in the, just waiting to go wrong. So people are not thinking about them. They are all in a hurry to push the solutions, get them out there fast. Nobody is qualifying the quality of software that's been developed, yet alone. So the AI is also going through the same problem, right? So there's a rush to get out there. It's causing the fear at the government level, because it's all right if you build something and you use it and it crashes, but if you bring it into the nation and they become part of the critical infrastructure, major problems. So even Singapore just waking up to this call.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Srikant. That was an enlightening keynote. Can you quickly advise like 1 or 2 advices for an embedded developer who's planning to deploy lightweight machine learning models on an embedded device, right? For example, you are in the process of planning to deploy like machine learning models in public infrastructure, like bus stops and everywhere. So adversarial attacks are going to happen, like just Professor Nabil mentioned in the morning. Yeah.
So I think this question was asked earlier, I think. We got a very lean systems that are also becoming smarter. Where is the budget to try and make them remain secure? The answer is no, we don't have, all right? So that is understood, but the good thing is they all remain part of the connected infrastructure. There are things at the edge computing infrastructure or further behind. They all need to collaborate in order to bring that holistic level of assurance up. You are trying to, so first of all, I think you come up with a very low-end devices to come up with a feasibility or viability of a solution. But trying to make that also to be secure by itself is a problem, right? But so you have to look at the holistic infrastructure and think of enhancing the security of that entire infrastructure, right? So this is the way I see it. So you cannot do that. But should we then stop doing kind of incorporating intelligence into lean and very low-cost devices? No, because market forces are saying that if you can't make it affordably, I don't want it. I can't afford it. So it's a push and pull game, right? Yeah, this is exactly what we are doing for the implantable medical devices. You can't put a high-end system over there and power consumption challenges, even the size, and all that will become multiple functional and non-functional constraints are going to always be there. So we need to first crack it and then look to see in a different perspective at a system level to be able to meet those challenges, I feel. Yeah.
So in your presentation, you says that image processing smart pedestrian system.
Predictive.
Yeah.
Yes.
On that system, you mentioned that you no need to use computer for the processing system. You says that we can use a chip for that. I want to ask if we consider about four-way junction, how we manage the traffic control or pedestrian control system.
Okay, so I may not have put that across properly. The end system, the IoT, is where you can't rely, what the IoT does, you can't replace it with a PC. But what the overall control, you will have some powerful computing behind the scene, right? So I'm only talking about affordability of those AIoTs that are going to be deployed in large volume, collect the data, aggregate the data. But once you aggregate them, yes, you can have a cloud computing infrastructure, if you like, to be able to churn and process them.
Another question. What are the response rate if we think about its own speed, some not popular area on some rural area? If we use these pedestrian systems, what are the response? How get quick responses or something else?
Yeah, I don't think because we have a solution, we hit it everywhere. I think you put them, first of all, in the most busiest kind of pedestrian crossings in the heart of the city, for example. Valuable minutes are lost because we don't have intelligence of monitoring. There are people waiting, there are these vehicles, and we don't know, we lose. And this time is quite precious, right? So you go where it benefits most to begin with. It doesn't mean that you have to just spread it entirely. No need. Have I answered that? Yeah. Any other questions, please? Anything at all burning? But I'm sorry, I covered a lot, but I think I will make it a point to stay for the reception or the tea break or whatever, then come and ask me. I got few tickets to, I mean, those who ask me the questions, including the professors, must come and collect a ticket from me, all right? I have a mission to complete here, all right? So about 5 or 6 of them, please kindly come and see me, and then those who are wanting to ask questions also come, because number of tickets are more, you know, that I need to issue out, all right? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you all for your wonderful questions. Professor Srikanthan, please remain on stage to accept a small token of appreciation. At this time, we would like to invite Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe to come forward and present a token of appreciation to Professor Thambipillai Srikanthan. Thank you, Professor, for your insightful presentation.